Hello again, students. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to insert and use tables properly in your technical documents. Now, you may think that tables are all about making a document look good. Not true. Tables are really about organizing the data so that the audience, your user, can find what they need quickly and efficiently. So we're going to take a look at a document here and try to see what we can do to improve it by adding some tables. Now, instead of using my example for this semester, which is that T-Math replacement class, self-directed class, instead of using that one, I'm going to use one that I used last semester. And the reason is I don't have a lot of table kind of data in that one. It's more about descriptions and more about discussions than it is about presenting some data. This one, however, was a memorandum that I wrote, and it did involve a lot of organized data. So we're going to take a look at it and see what we can do to make it a little more readable. This is in a memo format because it was internal at my company. Now, this information that is in a numbered list looks really good as it is. It's very readable. I jump right to the benefits section. I can see what the 8 top benefits are, or internal business goals is what it says. That's clear. I don't think that needs to be converted. But as I scroll down, I come to a section here that there's a timetable. It has some dates, some descriptions, and it has a third set of data that just kind of estimates how many hours per week are involved in some of these. That is hard to read. It's hard to come back and find that information, and it's hard to pick something out of it. This is a prime example of a good place for a table to go in a document. So, the way I'm going to handle this one is I am going to choose all of the data. I've already kind of got it laid out here in a kind of format. I have, again, all the dates on the left. Then I have a comma, and then I have a description, then I have a comma, and I have the third piece of data. So this is laid out really well. I'm going to try something before I go and do a lot of work on creating a table. I have highlighted my data, careful not to get too much in front and nothing behind it. And then I'm going to the Insert menu, look at the Table icon, and look for a menu command called Convert Text to Table. When I click on it, what Microsoft does is take a guess at what they think I might be wanting to do. So they have guessed I want to convert this grouping of data, information, text, into 3 columns. Well, they hit that one right on the head because that's exactly what I want, 3 columns of data. The auto-fit behavior I don't care about because I will manually adjust the width of the columns later, so I never do anything with that one. But I do look to see if the number of columns is right. If it's not, I can add or take away and then manually adjust. The last thing I look at, it says separate text at commas. Because it saw all these commas in my data, it thought that may be where she wants to split her data. And they were right. That's exactly where I want to split it. So when I click OK, this automatically takes that information and converts it to 3 columns in a table, and it removes those commas because it says that was what I was trying to separate on. Now I can go and start doing some cleanup. First of all, I want to make this first column not as wide, and I want to give the most room that I can in the middle column. That actually looks nice right there. Really easy to read. I'm also going to click on this 4-way arrow at the top left, which selects the entire table. And I am taken to the Table Tools menu set, and there's 2 tabs here. One is Layout and one's Design. We've kind of done our layout manually. Design is the one I want to look at. Now, sometimes I really like these colorful, tables and all, but for this document, see how that blue, that's just too much. That's not quite what I want. This is to be an internal document, a little understated, not all flowery and pretty. So let me go back up to the top. I don't just want squares, but I don't think that one doesn't look bad. See how I'm just mousing over and it shows that table with that applied? I think the one I want is down here. It's gray outlines, which is really understated, but it does make a difference between the header and the body. So I'm going to click on that and take a look. Now the first thing I notice is that this one wrapped, which I don't really want. If I just drag a little to the left, it goes back and everything fits on one line. That looks nice. The next thing I see though is that I want my headers at the top, and there are no headers. This is my first item, not a header. So I am going to click to the left of this row, left click in the left column, and see how it chose the entire row. I'm going to right click and insert a row above. When I do that, I now have a space to type in the headers, which are going to be date. This is probably description. And this is like, I don't know, time commitment. Okay, that looks really nice. Now again, I can play with the widths if I want, but that's actually kind of a good column width. And the way I did the column width adjustment is I move my mouse until I see that double vertical line. Then I do a left click and I can drag left and right until I get what I want. All right, that looks pretty good, but I'm a little concerned about why this first column is in bold. I like the first row to be in bold. That's my header, but not the first column. So I'm going to choose the whole table. And then up in the table style options, which is in the top left, I'm going to see if I can see what is making that happen. I have the header row checked, which is, I do want that. I have banded rows checked, but because I don't have banding on my example, there is no alternate color for every row, so I don't worry about that one. I have a check on first column. I'm going to uncheck that. When I do, that took off the bolding because I don't want my first column treated as any kind of a header. Those are just parts of the items. So I think I like this table pretty well as it is now. And the last thing I need to do is I find that this is too close between the end of the table and the beginning of this next section. If I go to the end and hit enter, you see what it did? It added a table row at the end. I don't really want that, so I'm going to undo that. What I can do is go to the front of this one and hit enter. All right, that space may be a little too big, but after a table, that may be just right. I'm just going to roll up and down a little bit, glancing at this. No, I think that's exactly what I needed there. That was my first table. Really, really easy. The next place I come to in my document that looks like it might be a problem is this section of personnel and roles. Now it looks okay. I have the person's role and then their name and then a description of that, how they function in that role. But if I want to find, say, the project manager, I have to kind of scroll through. Well, that's not it, and that's not it. That's not it. Let me keep looking. Oh, there it is. It's just a little, I don't know, clunky. Now, I can't convert this one to a table like I did the one before because it's not laid out quite right. There are a couple of things I could do. First of all, I could separate them by commas. And let's see if I go to the end of this one and put a comma, a space, and delete. Now let's see, that would do it. That's one way to do it. I'm going to undo that though. And just so, oops, too far. All right, just so you know, we're going to actually build this one manually. Now, the first thing I need to think about is how many columns do I want? And I think I want 3. I want the one on the left to be the role, the one in the middle to be the person's name, and then a big wide one off to the right that is the description. So let's go to Insert, Table, and this time instead of trying to convert something, I'm going to tell it I want 3 columns, and you can tell it how many rows, but I usually start off with 2 or 3 because they're really, really easy to add. So let's just start off with 3. Now, before I start this time, I know which formatted table I want to use, so I'm actually going to go select that right now. It's this gray one up here with this, because it's subtle, but you can still see the lines, and it has that nice heavy line between the header and the data. All right, I want to go ahead and type in what I know these are going to be. We have the role, we have the name, and we have a description. Because it had no clue what it wanted me to do, it always creates them with 3 even columns. But I know for a fact that that's not quite what I want. I want the left one to be small, so I'm looking for that double vertical line, left click and drag. We'll adjust it again later. Again, double vertical line, left click and drag. Let's start off with this and see what happens. All right, first one, project sponsor. I'm going to cut it from here, Control X, and paste it up here, Control V. All right, the next thing is the name, Control X, Control V, and finally the description, Control X, Control V, and I'll do a bit of a cleanup here because I left that dash that's no longer used. All right, I so far like that. Let me do a couple of more and see what happens. The role, Control X, Control V. The name, Control X, Control V. And the description once again, Control X, Control V. And we'll get rid of a couple of extra spaces and that dash. Now, I look at the first one and I had a blank line at the end of the paragraph. On this one, I don't. I'm actually going to go ahead and enter one. And when I do, I see it really didn't help. It wrapped to the next page. So I'm going to undo that. There's a couple of things I can do, but right now I just want to be aware that there may be a space at the end. There may not. I want those to match in the end. But right now, let's just leave it. All right, now how do I add a row easily? Lots of ways to do it, but the easiest way is to go to the very last cell and then hit the Tab key. And there you have the next row. All right, now this time, let's say I'm not on a Windows machine and I don't know how to do this. Actually, I can't tell you how to do it on a Apple because I don't have one on hand to try it out on. I used to be able to get around really well in it, but not so much these days. But I'm showing you another option. I'm a keyboard person, so I like the Control X, Control V. I like that thing, but there's other ways to do it. I have the role selected. I can right click and cut. Click up here, right click and paste. Now I pasted just the text, which is nice. Right click, cut, right click, paste. This last one is paste the text without the formatting. All right, but you can see it is bold. And that's because the table retains some formatting. We'll fix it at the end. Again, right click, cut, right click, paste, and then I do want to add a space there. Finally, we have one more. I'll take this title, right click, cut, oops, I'm sorry, at the top, right click, paste. You see I'm slower at this one. Let's get the name, right click, cut, right click, paste, and finally the paragraph. Right click, cut, right click, paste, add a space so they're spaced out well. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all this extra detritus that we didn't need. I'm going to leave a nice space here. I have something that probably should be in a table here as well, but I'm going to leave it for the moment while we clean this one up. All right, so once again, I'll click the the four-way arrow in the top left and go to the design mode. I have header row selected, which is true. Banded rows I don't care about. I'm going to turn first column off and back on. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing anything over here. I'm going to leave it off. I don't really want bolding everywhere. And then because I've done all I can do with the automated version, I'll come over here to the table and my computer is frozen. That's really good. Okay, I think we're going again. There we go. I'm going to come over to the table and just select everything except the header and go home, turn the bold on or off. Looks like that worked. Sometimes if some are bold and some are not, one click will do one way and another click will do it the other way. This one did what I wanted with just one click, and that was to unbold everything. All right, now I just need to see about widths, because this bothers me that all of these have a space at the end of them, but this one doesn't. That bothers me. So let me see if there's anything I can do. I could take that away. Maybe I can make that smaller. No, that didn't work. Yeah, I'm not sure. And now that wrapped to the next page. I don't want that. I think here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click the whole table again, and there's a couple of other settings that are really important. So I'll right click and do Table Properties. When this comes up, there's one thing I would like to set here. On the Row tab, this says allow rows to break across pages. That means that in this row, part of the text is here and part of it is on the next page. But if I turn that off by unchecking it and click OK, what happens is any partial row goes down to the next page. It won't allow part of a row to show up. That helps with readability. All right, now I can see this spacing does make a difference, so I'll go in here and manually add a space. So after each paragraph I have a space. That's nice. The only other thing I don't like is I can't remember what these columns are because the title is up here. There's one really quick way to do that, and I'll show it to you. Once again, click on the four-way to select the entire table. Right click Table Properties, and we are looking for Repeat as Header Row at the top. Okay, I have everything selected. I don't really want that. Let me cancel out of this. Let's try it again. Click on the left hand column for the header. Right click Table Properties. Now repeat as header row at the top of each page. That means just repeat this one on any table that falls on the next page. Let's try that. Click OK. Oh, now that's what I like. I have one up here with the header to remind me what each column is, and then I have 3 on the next page, also with a header to remind me what the column is. That looks really good. I think I'm done with that one. I have a decent space at the end, so I'm not worried about that. I think I'm going to try converting this one, so I'll select everything. Do you remember how to do this? Insert, Tables, Convert Text to Table, and we hope it will find those commas. When I click on it, I do want 2 columns, and I do want it comma separated. So click OK. Looks very nice. I'll drag this over a little to the left. We'll find our style that we like up here in the top if we can. It is this one, gray. That looks okay, except that I'm missing a header, so I will click in the left, right click, insert row above, and let's give this some names. So name and position or role. No, this is a position. Okay, and I think I will change, let's see, personnel and roles. Let me click on that. That is a heading 2. I want this one then to be a heading 3, one below that. Okay, what am I missing? A space at the end. Let's put that in. And we still have that business where it automatically bolded the first column, which I don't want. So I will try to click on the table, go to Design, turn off the first column check. That's what I want. Okay, nice tables. They're automatically the right width. Even though you don't need this width here, I could drag this in, but having them all line up on the right edge is really, really nice. So I typically leave white space in here. I typically am not one that drags these over. I like this page to show some balance, and the way it does that on the tables is to have them all left align and right align, which it automatically does. All right, I have one last place that I'm going to put a table, and that is this budget section. That just doesn't work for me. I'll highlight just the text one more time because this is actually, these are separated by tabs. That's how I got out here. I didn't just put a bunch of spaces. I can actually see the tab up here, but I know this is tabs, but I'm going to see what happens. So let's try it automatically. Insert, table, convert text to table, 2 columns, that's right. Separated by tabs, that's right. Click OK. Very nice. I'm going to make the numbers a little smaller. A couple of extra things we need here. First of all, we need to get our style right, like that. That looks really nice. I'm also going to insert another row at the front. So right click, insert row above. This would be the description. And this would be the price. Numbers, by the way, always right align. I know that's a hard one to remember, but otherwise you're trying to figure out, is that 3,000, 30,000, what is that? When you right align them, because your commas are lined up, it's so much easier to read those numbers. Now, if you look at the data on my table, you'll notice this table has one other thing. So it has the header, which is the description and price, but it also has a total row, which is total budget and the total of all these values above it. I really want that to stand out. I don't want somebody to add all of these numbers up, which would double my budget. I want them to realize that the 20,300 is the total. So to do that, I will select the table again by choosing the 4-way square, go to design. I had up here, header row is good. First column, I want off. I don't want those bolded. But there is a last column that would make the numbers bolded. Nope, don't really want that. But there's one over here that says total row. Let me click that. That's what I want. See how the header is separated? It's bold. It has this nice heavier line. Then we have the bottom, the total row that is separated with a double line, and it is also bold. That is what I want. That makes a very nice table, easy to read. It's easy to tell that this last line is the sum of the previous lines, so there's no confusion there. Okay, I think that's it for this document. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 tables in here that help my user find the information they need quickly and get to it, read it, pick out what they want, the pieces that they want. It just aids in so much in the readability of this document. So we'll go ahead and save this document, and it is ready to go. Thanks so much. See you next time.